shut my phone off. I was doing that.
Okay, we're live.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock on April the 25th. And I'm going to call this meeting to order of Point Edward Village Council. Pardon? Speak up, sorry. Speak up. I've been directed to speak up. Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. And first, my first order of business is to read the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Thank you. Is there anyone with pecuniary interest?
An unknown.
Not here.
No. Okay. So we've changed up the agenda for tonight so that we know that there's large interest in the one item on the open air burning bylaw. So we've changed the order of our meeting. So before I open that meeting, I just have something that I want to read. Before we move on to the next item on the agenda, I want to share with you the following. The next item is a very important one to many within the community. We all have our viewpoints, our concerns, and our opinions. They are all important and they all matter. As a reminder, the document that was put out to the public is a draft document and not the final bylaw. Council has reviewed information and is listening to residents who have requested to speak. We will be reviewing the information following this meeting at a different date. So there's no decision tonight. Tonight is simply to collect information from those people who have registered to speak. I will allow the registered speakers to have 10 minutes and we will be tracking the time. So use your time wisely, get your points out. I will remind you that this is our council chamber. There will be no profanity, no finger pointing, no yelling. If you do, you will be ruled out of order, and if it persists, you will be asked to leave. So thank you, and I'll move on to our discussion on open air burning bylaw. So council has been considering an amendment to the current bylaw for the village. A draft bylaw was circulated to the community, and there are a number of people that wish to address council regarding the matter. So the first speaker today, and the speaker is invited to come into the bar and use this desk here, and then you'll be accessible to the screen for those who are viewing from home. Nicole Sauvé. You're up first, Nikki. It won't be long.
Mayor, council members, I'm opposed to the proposition of the revised open burning bylaw because of the restrictive recreational burning bylaws. As you can see by the signatures of a great deal of people, so are the residents of Point Edward. Many of these people had no idea this was happening. If they did, you would have had a great deal more of emails stating their disapproval about this. There are a few of us that took it upon ourselves to inform the people and to get their signatures. More are coming online as I'm speaking. I haven't taken them down. I'm submitting my gathered signatures of opposed, for, and were they aware. You will be receiving a great deal of signatures opposing this new bylaw from others collectively. After listening to the meeting online and hearing the comments made by council members stating that a couple are for absolute no burning, and they were elected to make decisions, I must state that I am dismayed after these statements. You as a council were elected by the people, meaning that you are working to represent us, not making decisions for us. We do not want the new bylaw to come into effect. We feel that if people are going by the guidelines for safe burning, then there should be no added restrictions. We also feel that if someone is nuisance calling, there should be a fine attached with each call if the fire chief and deputy fire chief has deemed it within guidelines. Currently, there is no bylaw granting the fire department the right to issue these fines. The enjoyment of outdoor fires has always been part of Point Edward and should never be restricted or taken away from the people who abide by the guidelines. This new proposal is causing grief and uproar in our village. We want no amendments made to this bylaw as it stands now. I am not sure how many others feel about the giving the fire department the right to hand out fines for nuisance calls, but I certainly am one, and truly feel that there are plenty more if asked. To my knowledge, to date, there have been 4 calls to the fire department, and that hardly compensates for the ban of this bylaw. The public positions of certain council members regarding the proposed revisions could be interpreted as a violation of the impartiality, I'm sorry, I can't even speak today, and subsequent conflict of interest. I think it would be appropriate for those 2 members to recuse themselves from the vote. That's my house.
Thank you, Nicole. You're well under time.
I know, and I knew I was going to be, but I don't need to offer for others.
Who are you speaking about? Who's already made up their mind?
I heard the last, I think it was the 11th that you guys had, you were talking, and I heard one of the counselors, unfortunately, the system it's very low. But I heard one of the counselors saying, that's why we were elected to make decisions. And I thought, okay. And then I heard the second one, I would like to see absolutely no burning whatsoever in the point or in the village. And I thought those 2 were just the right things to say.
Do you know who it was? That's
I couldn't see, but I heard, and
It's Mr. Rondeau.
thank you. And
No, I was sitting up there.
yeah, about the making decisions.
I didn't say that.
Okay, I'm sorry, somebody else said I heard 2 things, sorry.
Okay, yeah, no, I didn't. say
Through the
that.
chair, can I say something? On this, just, yeah, I did say that. And it was in the heat of the moment. We've been dealing with this for 6 months,
Yes.
right? It's in, like, it's been moving slowly. We've been going back and forth and everything else. And I did say we were elected to make decisions.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We are elected to make decisions. We are also representatives of the people.
Mhm.
That's, we're elected as that. We're policymakers, and that's what we're, with bylaws and that, and we're also stewards to the village. We have 3 hats we wear. So, that was my personal opinion, which when I think that shouldn't have been said, but it's a frustration
Mhm.
of how we're moving with this, so I apologize.
And thank
No.
you, and I wasn't up here to. I wasn't, I mean, that's not it, it's what I heard, and I thought, wow, so that's why that was brought up.
That's fair.
Anybody else have a question?
Counselor,
I just have one question. Were you implying that we're trying to slide one by you? I didn't understand that, how we were.
Out of which, what were you thinking of?
Well, you made a comment before about you were unaware of this that was going on.
I was aware only because I have, I'm on the mailing list, so I got the letter, and I'm on, social media.
Hmm.
When we did our canvassing, the amount of people who had no idea, none, because they do not have social media, they are not on the mailing list. We had to deal with people and talk and talk. So in yesterday alone, no, I'm sorry, what's today?
Tuesday.
Thank you. Sunday, we had gone out and we were tag team. We only got 19 signatures out of a full block because the people that I knocked on hadn't a clue. And I had to stand there and tell them exactly what was happening, let them read, because I printed these things out. And they were upset, to say the least, but because we had to take so much time to do that. And again, they just did not know. And that's one thing that really, really was upsetting, because a lot of people did not know. When I have this here, I also have a yes or a no beside the names as to who knew, who didn't know. So that's where that is coming from.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted that clarified.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Through the chair, are you gonna leave
Yeah.
us a copy of your?
Yes, this
Okay,
will be for you.
thank you.
Hey, Linda Ricker, you're up next. Thank you.
Mind if I step through this one?
You well, you took it away, but
Good day, Mayor Hand. Councilors and Mr. Burns. You will have already read most of this because I sent this to you. But I think it's important for the public at large to hear my points. I've been a resident of this village for 8 years, and I love this village and what it represents. Family, friendly, family oriented, and progressively independent. That is something to be proud of. Perusing the proposal of the amendments to the open air burning led me to dig further to determine why and how these amendment proposals were made. I'm very disappointed in the information I found, while watching the various meetings regarding this topic. And as you're aware, I have shared some of them on social media to inform village residents. Those residents have also shared their dismay with regard to the attitudes and actions of their elected representatives. From the outset, I want to state my opposition to the proposed changes to the fire bylaw. It has been noted in the April 11th Point Edward Fire Committee meeting that the catalyst for these changes is an ongoing arduous dispute between two neighbors. I will note that I do not have an affiliation with any of the residents involved in the dispute. I am speaking as a resident of Point Edward. This civil dispute between two neighbors has resulted in numerous questionable call-outs of the village fire department, which has cost the village money and endangered the safety of our volunteer firefighters and the community at large. The proposed changes to the bylaw, in my opinion, do nothing to alleviate the ongoing issue between the disputing neighbors, and I believe it will be the catalyst to create substantial issues with more neighbors and conflict. I was disappointed to hear members of the village committees decide to limit burning to 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. because, quote, who has a fire in the afternoon? The only reason to burn in the afternoon is to burn leaves. The residents of Point Edward who elected the council are adults who can make their own decisions and do not need to be parented by new council rules. The burning of leaves is already in the current bylaw and can and should be addressed. However, we need to also question why someone would be burning leaves. Has the leaf pickup ended too soon that is their only option? Why would someone have a fire in the afternoon? They may be having a child's birthday party and cooking hot dogs. They may be a night shift worker enjoying a fire before they go to work. They may have friends over only for the afternoon and wish to share a fire. Number two, the proposal is to limit fires to only weekends and holidays. Why? Many Point residents are shift workers and their weekends may be Monday to Wednesday. Why take away their ability to have a fire on their days off? It may rain numerous weekends in a row, but be a nice Tuesday evening. I may have visitors come during the week. Why can I not entertain in my own backyard with a controlled fire pit with my friends on a Thursday evening? Number three, the ultimate ability to, this is a quote, the ultimate ability to a recreational fire at any time is dependent on not bothering the neighbors. That was quoted for the new bylaw. This will cause significant more issues in the village. Anyone who has a problem with their neighbors may be calling the fire department. Number four, people not following the provisions of the bylaw could be liable for Provincial Offences Act fines. As you should be aware, these can and will be challenged in the courts. Have the cost of defending the village in these cases been calculated? Number five, why are the fines only on those who have fires? In other areas I've lived, if my house alarm goes off and there's no problem, the first one is free. After that, I get charged for the misuse of resources. In my opinion, ongoing calls of a frivolous nature create a safety hazard to our first responders in the village as a whole by tying up resources which may be delayed going to an actual fire call. Mayor Hand has responded to me on this note stating that this is addressed elsewhere. However, she's unable to provide where at the time. In my opinion, this should be included in any revision of the bylaw, so everyone would be able to find it, if it is such there. Perhaps we should be looking at a non-emergency fire number so that all our resources are not pulled out when a call is such as this is made. I have initiated a petition against changes to the bylaw, and others have taken this bylaw, this petition again around. I went door to door on Friday on streets that I don't know anyone on. And then although I only spent an hour, every person that I spoke to signed the petition. Every single person. A lot of people did not know about it, or my first part was, have you been aware of what's going on social media on this, right? So every single person, there was not one person that said, I'm not gonna sign it or I'm in disagreement. And this petition is against Village of Point Audubon bylaw change regarding the open air burning. Since then, others have taken this petition around. This is separate to the petition that the other lady spoke about. And I have 145 signatures on here. And that has been very little walking around, actually. It was only a few days. So these are the people who elected you to the council to represent the council, not to make the decisions for them. Our over 2,200 residents of Point Edward deserve to be able to enjoy their property without undue restrictions imposed by a council who has decided to parent their constituents rather than represent the residents and their interests. I look forward to addressing the council meeting. So that's all I have. Questions?
Your hand.
Sorry, I just one clarification. When I told you I didn't know where it was, I was at my home.
Yes,
Right.
sorry.
And I
should
said off the
have-
top of my head, I can't quote exactly where it is,
Yes,
but it is separate of this information.
unfortunately, I looked
Sorry.
and I can't find it. So that
Okay.
means that I would assume that the majority of the residents wouldn't know where that was. And I'm not sure if whoever was going to the fire call would have that, has that available now to inform the people that call, right? So.
Okay.
I was just
Sounds
gonna
good.
ask,
Gotta get them
either the CAO or the fire chief clarify that we do have a fee for service bylaw that allows us to charge when the fire department are called out for
Yep, that's
false
correct.
alarms or car accidents or whatever. So we've fully covered on that.
That, yeah, sorry, to me, it wasn't clear, and this new bylaw mentions about the person being called upon being charged, not the person that's making the phone call that, I smell some smoke and, somebody smoking next door or something, right? So that's all it doesn't appear in what is proposed, which I'm against anyhow. It doesn't appear that both sides could be an issue there.
Thank you, Linda.
Oops. And where do I give this to?
Here, please.
You got my letter already. Oh.
So thank you. Leo Clayton Baker. So,
The time I remember. Okay, I'll keep it very simple. The one thing I want to mention before I even say this is there seems to be a lack of communication. Because I was not aware of any of this until I happened to come across it on Loud and Proud. And it seemed to me back in the days when I first came here, you would get notices either in your mailbox about these things or in the newspaper. That, bylaw, proposed amendments to the bylaws. So I just think perhaps we need to go back to that so more people are aware. Anyway. Good afternoon, Mayor Hand, Councilors Mondu, Drury, Grimes, Burgess. I come before you today to voice my objections to the proposed amendments to the open air burning bylaw. Although this document at the moment appears to be controversial in many aspects, and I am aware that all will and have been dealt with by other written and oral arguments as posted on the village website, My primary concerns have to do with the restriction of residential fire usage to Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays only, as well as the possible future squashing of residents burning wood in residential fire pits. My reasons for objecting to these restrictions are: one, a large percentage of the workforce in our village are shift workers, Chemical Valley workers, casino workers, hospitality workers. Restricting bonfires or fire pits to weekends only is disadvantageous and actually somewhat intrusive on the part of council. If persons are compliant with the current recreational burning checklist, there should be no reason to shut down the fires. I would also ask that the reference to restriction of residential fires to specific days be eliminated from the checklist for recreational burning. As well, there should and must be a system established to discourage repetitive nuisance callouts. I agree with the other concerned residents that the idea of not being able to have an outdoor fire when entertaining friends or visitors is really a very petty issue. One that I, having lived in the Point for 46 years, have not previously encountered. And not allowing wood fires. Perhaps the village needs to reprioritize their objectives. In that supposedly we're all here to make our village better and comfortable and to get along with and not waste time. Thank you.
Thank you, Cleo. No questions? Kate Burgess, number 4.
Hello.
Good evening.
For those that don't know me, my name's Kate Burgess and I am basically a lifelong resident of the village. Very proud to be born and raised here. I'm quite concerned that you're out of touch with working class people. You know that our biggest employers in Lampton County are the plants and the hospital. What do you think people in the plants and the hospital work? We work shift work. I can tell you as a registered nurse, I work every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. My husband is a railroader. His days off are Tuesdays and Wednesdays. If you go through with this, I can't have a fire ever. I'm at work. When I get off work on a Friday night, it's midnight. If I wanted to have a quiet fire, not allowed. The entire world is pushing away from things like natural gas, propane, because they're not environmentally friendly. But you want to make it okay to have a propane fire whenever I want. I also can't afford that. What I can afford is wood, readily available in my backyard. A couple bad trees back there. I'm also quite concerned that my understanding that this issue came to be is from a very small number of complaints from the same people. So democracy isn't supposed to punish the majority of people for a few small complaints. The majority is supposed to win. I do hope that you consider what you're doing to those of us that pay a lot of money in taxes to live here. And I work, I live, I like to hang out in my backyard. Fires are one of my favorite things. Doesn't hurt anybody. Had the fire chief once for actually an accidental fire. And it was smoke, and I will say the fire chief's quite nice when he comes to your house. And you know, it's really not, and it was my bad. Smoking out the fire hall, for crying out loud. If you're gonna smoke anyone out, I guess it's good to smoke out the fire hall. At least, you know, it's them that come. But this is not the Point Edward I grew up in, and it's not the Point Edward that I want to move forward with. I think you also need to think about children. Kids aren't in school all summer. So you want me to send the teenagers out to roam the street on Wednesday night instead of staying home in the backyard, having a fire with the friends where I know what they're doing? I really don't think that you're thinking this through. I am in full support of putting something in place to give the fire chief, his assistant, the people in charge, the ability, if this is because of nuisance calls, let's deal with the nuisance calls. Let's find the people that are calling repeatedly. If My neighbor calls and Mr. McKenzie comes to my home and everything on this checklist is fine. Why should I have to put out my fire? Shouldn't the neighbor be responsible for taking away resources that should be in the public for the public? That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Mayor Hen? So I just want to clarify on one comment that it wasn't council that came up with the proposal for the weekend only burns. So we're like you, we are reviewing it, but didn't initiate from this
Okay.
body, okay? It
Thank you.
came from staff to us,
Okay.
and that's why we're asking for everybody's input. So it's not like we sat and thought up
Okay.
this idea, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Next one is Simon Deering, representing Dave Fogel and Denise Simpson.
Good evening, council. Police fire representative. My name is Simon Deering, and I'm up here representing Dave Vogel and Denise Simpson. I've been friends with them since I moved here from London to Bryce Grove. My background is I was 30+ years in London Fire Department and recently retired a year and a half ago as the district fire chief. So I'm not here to speak in a professional manner whatsoever. It's just representing Dave and Denise's position as someone who has knowledge to the situation and the issues they're having. They're not asking for any special treatment and understand if they are not compliant with bylaws, that they will be fine like everyone else. They're simply asking for the same privilege as everyone else to enjoy a fire in their backyard. They're looking for council to add possibly an increasing scale or a set fine for nuisance calls that the chief or the deputy chief could enforce. If the Point Edward Fire Rescue is called to a residence that is known for having a neighbor dispute and the party is in compliance, the chief or deputy should be able to have the authority to either find the neighbor on the spot, or in London, we would mail the infraction out so there'd be no confrontation. In London, after the third offense, the nuisance caller would be charged. Sault Ste. Marie tried to establish the same thing in 2017. And Fire Chief Peter Johnson was preparing a bylaw that will charge some property owners almost $1,000 per call. He is recommending billing for false alarms, which I think you guys already do, and malicious calls. So his initial proposal was green lighted, and the charge would be levied. First time fire, false fire call would be $477. The second time it would be $954, and that would be for a third time offender. Your first one is free. So they figured it was a cost recovery system, and it would help everything out. Let's see. So it's my understanding that the Point Edward Fire Rescue Chief, Doug McKenzie, has attended Dave and Denise's residence a number of times, inspected the fire pit, and it's deemed to be compliant with the current and proposed bylaw. So when they have repeatedly attended their property on a range of calls from excessive size fires to fires after midnight. They were always found compliant, but still may put out the fire because it was called in by a neighbor. Denise has pointed out that there is no current bylaw restricting the fire to midnight. So that's section 5 of the current bylaw. And that deals with cooking fires in a restricted area. Their residence does not fall within a restricted area, and cooking and recreation fires are distinctly defined under the bylaw. They feel that setting restrictions on dates and times only allows for more spike calls from neighbors in dispute, and further limits the rights of people who work shift work or are retired and wish to enjoy a fire during the week. One example, October 1st, 2022, Point Edward Fire Rescue was called and attended at 12:24 p.m. There was not much more than embers burning. It wasn't a noise complaint, just their fire was after midnight. They were made to put the fire out. There is more smoke created when you put the fire out, as opposed to just letting it burn down. So if there is no noise complaint and they're just cuddling on their patio, there shouldn't be an issue with allowing them to enjoy the fire until it's burned out for the rest of the evening. April 14th at 10:21, Point Edward Fire Rescue attended at David and Denise's house after receiving a call of a large fire with excessive flames from 4 to 5 feet in height. But when Point Edward took the pipe, they did not find the fire large or excessive, but still made them put the fire out. Ms. Simpson has handed over many videos and photos and documents with dates, timestamped of every fire they've had since the neighbor called on September 13th until April 14th, 2023, including screenshots of wind speed, direction, before and after pictures of the neighbor's vehicles as well. They're concerned with the current and proposed bylaw, bar section 4, which states no person shall set a recreational fire if the wind conditions or quality of the burn restricts neighbors from the enjoyment of the normal use of their property or causes discomfort to persons in the immediate area due to odor, smoke, or ash. So with that inclusion, any person involved in a neighbor dispute, such as Dave and Denise, will never be able to have a fire or enjoy their backyard. Unless it's added to the bylaw, if someone complaining about the air quality in their home, Point Edward Fire Rescue would be authorized to inspect with a CO monitor to see if any volatile organic compounds or other recreational fire byproducts are found to be present in the home. And if nothing harmful is found to cause distress, then a fine can be issued for the malicious fire call and the fire could be continued. With respect to smoke and ash, Dave and Denise have a neighbor 2 houses to the north, just on the north side of the property that they are in dispute with, who operate a wood burning fireplace in his house. They also have a fire pit wherein he has had fires the same nights as Dave and Denise. There are also 2 neighbors across the road, and one directly behind, that enjoy fires on a regular basis. So it is impossible to say that the ash from David and Denise's fire is the ash that is getting on the neighbor's vehicle. So there has to be a way to eliminate one neighbor's ability to control their neighbor's ability to enjoy their own property in their own backyard. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Next is Andrew Bolter and Diane Joy Bolter.
Outstanding. Thank you, council, for this opportunity. You've got my written submission. I just want to point out some parts of that. We've reviewed this latest bylaw. It's very similar to the 2015 bylaw. I would agree that the present bylaw is a little bit unclear when you look at the definitions about what the rule is, but I know this council intended that recreational fires end at midnight, and it's always been the way it's been perceived. But I think technically, if you look at it as a lawyer, it's got some issues in its design. That's the old bylaw. The new bylaw is much better. It provides clarity and probably it's much easier for people to understand what the rules are. What we find is that the definition of recreational fire states small outdoor fire. And it's really hard to define what that is. The London bylaw, incidentally, does actually define small, and it gives specific measurements. I'll get to that in a while. The other issue is because the fires we've experienced are not what I would call small little campfires that you huddle around and hang out with your friends and have a couple of beers. They're large fires. Safe location, the checklist has a checklist to define safe location. I think that's great, but I think there could be some circumstances where the checklist, if you just apply it, there may be other factors that you need to consider in that specific location. And it would be good, I think, to have within the bylaw the possibility of a fire safety assessment so that if there's an issue, there could be actually an assessment done that looks at other factors as well, because there could be other factors involved. No 2 situations are exactly the same. From our experience and direct observation and living in the situation we do, we often see sparks and embers
from wood combustion, traveling considerable distances, both vertically and horizontally. And we have a two-story garage, and often sparks are going up over the garage. We suggest that, as in the Sarnia bylaw, you consider an arresting grate, a spark arresting grate that goes over the top of the fire, and it reduces that spark issue. It's embers and sparks that are the biggest issue in fire spread, especially in situations where there are combustibles nearby. I note that the London bylaw has the distance from the fire at 4 meters distance to combustibles. When we contacted the London Fire Department to talk to them about that, they were surprised that the Sarnia bylaw was 3 meters, frankly. They were surprised. We completely agree with, it's not good to restrict fires to Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays for what these good people are saying. It's not appropriate. I think if people are responsible, have small fires and control them, and don't have them in close proximity to their neighbors' homes, I think no one has a problem. You know, that's not an issue. I think you also need to consider that there are some people who may be differentially impacted by a fire. There are seniors or people with emphysema. My dad was living with us until January 31st when he passed away. He's 92. He had huge problems with smoke and huge breathing problems. So that's something we need to consider when we look at our bylaw. I also want to just say that we moved into Point Edward from Kalmalaki in 2004. We've been here 19 years. Our son Gabriel went to Bridgeview. He was a sailing instructor at the yacht club. He worked for a short time at the ice cream guy, Harlan, making the cones and things like that. My wife had a decorating business in Point Edward until for 12 years. In the garage. This is our chosen home and our neighborhood community. And would also like to say that the present bylaw isn't that different. I mean, to the present proposed bylaw isn't that different to the previous bylaw. And I'd like to also point out that bylaws and laws get tested in unique situations. That's when the test comes. And if the bylaw isn't working well, or it's not clear, or communication isn't good through it, or enforcement processes aren't good, that's when you have to look at it. Because in our situation, we find that it's not just a few fires, it's not just here and there. We don't wish to complain. There's a false narrative out there that somehow my wife and I have been making false claims based on malice as a way of harassing our neighbors. I can tell you that not one call has been made that wasn't a legitimate call about a genuine issue related to the bylaw. And that was after midnight, unattended fires, large fires, locations of fires in close proximity to pine trees that were right next to our garage, sparks coming out, those kinds of things. I would welcome, like, I can justify every call in terms of what we did and why we did it. So I have no concerns about having fines for nuisance calls. And as you mentioned already, they are available to everyone. If there's a nuisance, there's civil actions, there's criminal actions. There's also, I think, a means for the nuisance calls to be addressed by this council. So I would welcome that. I don't think it should be in the bylaw itself, because that's a chilling effect. If someone's scared to make a call because of a concern about a fire, and that fire happens to technically meet the requirement, then that person may not make a call. It's best to err on the side of caution if you see flames in another yard or you think there's danger. So I think the chilling effect is something that shouldn't be there. Yeah, after we spoke to our neighbors about their fires shortly after they moved in, nothing really changed. We followed the process that we were advised to follow by the village, the fire department, the OPP. We put in a complaint to the village where we hoped it could be addressed in September the 15th. We didn't hear back for a long time, if at all. I think a letter got sent to the to our neighbors about the fire bylaw, but we were not, no follow-up about what was done. On many occasions, dozens and dozens of times, we have not called when there's fires.
Can we stick, sorry.
Yes,
I don't want
okay.
to throw you off track,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
we need to
stick
stick to the
point.
bylaw. please.
Exactly, and that's where I'm going, because what I'm saying is there's a false narrative out there that somehow this bylaw is being changed because we have malice to our neighbors. I just wanted to address that because it's been brought up here already, and I feel I have a right to address something that's directly brought up. So it's good to see that we had a retired firefighter here from London. My wife was a London city councillor for 12 years. She was actually involved in creating the London bylaw. So the London bylaw, I would submit, is a good one. I think as the gentleman here would know, it includes violations, include nuisance, smoke bothering neighbors. It includes the hours 4 to 12. The fire size cannot be greater than 46 by 46 by 30 centimeters, the fire size. We're not talking about the fire pit. So you don't have large loads of fire burning. Unattended fires are not permitted. Wind speed is less than 15 kilometers. When we talked to the fire representative in London about the London bylaw, they were surprised that we were as high as 30 in this community. They were surprised. So I think you need to look at fire size. That's an important factor. Also, the gentleman from London, the firefighter from London, would know that the bylaw in London does not have any penalties within it. 1 minute. So I just wanted to read one part of the London bylaw. It says it's got to be a small confined fire supervised at all times. The statement is that London deems it appropriate that open air fires could cause public nuisance by creating excessive smoke or odor, infringing on the enjoyment of neighboring property use, generating false alarms, and creating negative health effects on neighboring residents. So they recognize that. That's why it's a balanced bylaw. No one's saying you can't have a fire. No one's trying to restrict the fire. What the bylaw is trying to do is balance the rights of you and your neighbor. And let's hope that it doesn't happen. Let's hope everyone respects each other. Nuisance in the London bylaw means excessive smoke, smell, airborne sparks or embers that are likely to disturb others or likely to reduce visibility on the roads. Like I said before, open air burning can only take place between 4 p.m. and midnight. And they also say the outdoor fire container or pit must be 4 meters from any building. So,
And I was responsible for passing this particular violence for them.
and we don't want to
I know it does.
We don't want to infringe on anyone's rights, but we want the right to live with our windows open and enjoy the evening. The last warm evening, we were watching TV, we had the windows open to cool the house, and we got smoke.
Oh, yeah, stop, I'm
Yep.
sorry.
I appreciate that. And I would like to just have these are the really useful posters that the City of London puts out, so everyone understands the bylaw in a very simple way. And I'd like to suggest that this council consider that
Thank you,
as a way, so we all understand what we're doing.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your submission. Next, number 7, Lou Melly.
And Mayor, thanks for councilors, thanks for letting me speak my piece at the hard act to follow. You know, talking about London and other larger cities, like we're 1,700 people here. I don't understand it. It's beyond for me, it's beyond understanding why we're even spending so much time on this. I look at, I want some understanding from the council. General provisions number 5. It's been talked about over. No person outside of recreation fire between 12 noon and 12 midnight on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. I had a little blurb before everyone else, so eloquently spoke about it. Like here I am with, on a summer night, on a Tuesday night, my nephews and nieces come over and we have a little burn. And, you know, we've got marshmallows, s'mores or something like that. And all of a sudden, Mr. McKenzie comes over and says, put it out. And I'm subject to a fine. I'll say, Mr. McKenzie, do you want some marshmallows? You know, that's what I'm gonna say. you know?
gonna say yes.
You know, I hope so. But that's the village. Okay, that's it, in essence, that's our village. Okay, we respect one another and we respect in good nature what we have to do. I've only lived in the village 30 years. I'm not a lifer. Okay, my wife, my children, that's different. But this is beyond understanding from what I see from the village and owning the business and knowing the people that come in. I just sit here and all I can think of is this bylaw simply. It pits neighbors versus neighbors. I don't understand it. Please give it serious consideration. I'm not saying we don't need something to alleviate certain nuisances. Yes, but we don't need draconian. Thanks.
Thank you, Lou. Any questions?
Council got any questions for Mr. Bolter?
Sorry,
We know that I had a chance. to
Yes.
ask Mr. Bolter
Yes,
questions. I don't know if
I
there are any,
neglected
but
to ask, is there any questions from, pardon? From any of the speakers? Okay, so as I said, this meeting tonight was collecting the information. We will be reviewing it at a later date. So there was no decision coming tonight.
Can you give us an idea of when you will review it?
Well, within 2 weeks.
yeah. So the intent now is to take everyone's
Yeah.
feedback, meet with our lawyer.
Mhm.
Because I mean, we get very varying opinions, facts. So we need to find out exactly what's legal. So we're gonna meet with our lawyer and find out what, you know, if we put certain restrictions in place, what's the enforceability? Because whatever gets put in place, we want to be able, we need it to be defensible out of court. Because we do plan on putting in measures to issue fines. Either for nuisance calls, I think, I mean, I can't speak for council, but I think that's something that's been indicated tonight a number of times and discussed at council about putting nuisance calls into the bylaw as well. So that could be challenged, but also a fine for having an improper burn could be challenged in court. So we want to have something in place. So, and that will meet with our lawyer. At least that's the kind of direction I'll be providing to council to.
How will we know what your decision will be in approximately 2 weeks?
And I wanted to speak.
Yeah, that's
the
not
2
exactly
weeks
so.
thing
So
I mean,
next
depends.
council meeting
will
or before that?
not before, I wouldn't think before that. I mean, getting time with the lawyer is not easy.
That's why we were
He's
hoping.
a very
within
busy
2
person,
weeks
so,
to meet with her.
So if we came out for next council meeting, you would probably have made a decision or still be discussing?
What I would suggest, if I may.
Sure. I was thinking
If everyone is
weekend.
aware of our, you know, there's been a few comments made about lack of communication. We have a mass email system that anybody in the village can sign up for. There's about 500 residences that have signed up for it. So roughly half, some of those 500 are outside of the village. That's a great tool. And I realize not everybody uses email, but I mean, we can't, it's just much more efficient to do it that way than it is to go door to door with a letter.
But it's not as effective.
Well,
But we
what
don't-
do you want to, I mean,
We don't have
can't,
resources to do hand mailers
like,
all the
But
time.
Can I also
why
just
why
say-
did we have it at one time, but we no longer have it?
Can I just say, as residents, you also have to take some ownership on being involved in council. Council is actually very transparent. Everything is online.
Nobody is disputing.
You can call, the village is one of the few places in the world. You can call here and they will talk to you on the phone and tell you anything you want to know.
And that's why I'm asking. when-
Yeah, so
when-
Instead of blaming
Yeah.
council and saying that they're not transparent, people need to remember they actually really are. And as a person of the community, it's your responsibility to stay informed on what's happening. It's really not just on them to send stuff out. That's all I'm
Okay,
saying.
all right, we'll end that one. We have a question at the back.
Could you just establish 2 or 3 places to publicly post any email that goes out to people that are signed up? And let people know that it'll be posted in the library window or the fire hall window, in the police station window, and in the window of the building here, so that anyone can access
Sure.
whatever's in
So-
email.
You know, like this subject has been talked about since last October, and it's in every minute of every meeting that we've had. And we've had visitors come to the meeting and talk. So I'm surprised when people say they weren't aware, because there's been many different people that have been at committee meetings and at council meetings as we've reviewed this over the last 6 months. Mr. Bolter?
Yeah, let's do it right. We don't need to rush it. Let's,
We have no
yeah,
intentions of.
no,
rushing.
I'm just saying, for everyone's sake, let's do this right, and let's make sure it's a good balanced thing, so everyone knows what they need to do, and let's just, I fully support, respect your neighbor. If your neighbor is being bothered by your fire, try and talk to them.
So in answer to Wendy's question, I
Yeah.
think we can probably do something like that in a few
Yeah.
public spots. But I would also ask you guys, like, I don't know how many people in this room use that constant contact service, but it is a really good tool. And if everybody in this room talks to a few of their neighbors, like, Nicole, when you were out, I mean, it would have been great if you could have said to those people,
I did.
so, great,
The
so,
public contact,
I mean.
yeah. Well, not everybody.
And I understand that,
Yeah.
But I did, I said, unless you
Yeah.
have the email.
Yeah.
Or social
or
media.
Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, and they said, and that's fine.
And the other
That's
piece
what-
I wanted to mention is when we send out those constant contacts, they generally go to the media as well. So if the media wants to pick them up, like if the media wanted, they don't always go. And I mean, I'm not the one that sends them all the time, so I can't guarantee that this one went to the media, but I think it would have.
I think it did.
So,
Right, yeah,
I mean,
agree.
we try to use, but we can't force the traditional media to cover something, right? I mean, we do what we can, we send it out.
Mhm.
as- but,
I did mention though, every household, I did say, it was, I got the email and it was on, Loud and Proud and stuff like that, and I just had a lot that just kind of looked at me like.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
I do receive those emails, however, that one respecting the burning bylaw changes was, just different points. It really didn't go into exactly what the changes may be. I mean, I had to do a lot of digging, and as you saw me posting on social media, I did a lot of digging and listening to, a lot of these meetings. And the other thing was that it mentioned the council meeting, but it didn't give a time, right? We need to, as a village, should be very clear and concise on when you put out those, that you have the actual ways for people to contact and come. Another idea, maybe you have the village Facebook page, you can generate an event for your meetings.
It's on
So-
your calendar.
It's on your
It's on the
calendar.
village
I
calendar.
understand
It's
that,
fine.
excuse me, I was speaking, I appreciate it, thank you. But generating an event on the Facebook would be someplace where somebody like, oh yeah, and they'll click on interested. That lets you see, oh, there's, 30 people that are interested in coming to this. Maybe it's something we need to talk a little bit more about. Then it would also populate on people's Facebook thing saying, remember, tomorrow is this. It's just an extra means of communication.
Thank you. Okay, so as you said, we're hoping to get with our lawyer within 2 weeks. And all I could suggest that it'll be, if it's on for the next council meeting, it would be on our agenda. We can advertise it. That would be. And late
It's,
May,
yeah,
yeah,
May
May
25th, I
24th?
think, 20,
whatever that,
23rd.
23rd, the 23rd.
Thank you.
So if we get it done in time, then it'll be on the agenda and we can have it. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I want to just leave this so.
Sure. Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it. Okay.
It's
Sorry.
it's just rest while they leave.
Regard to
Yeah, I have a sport, so.
Right?
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
I'm well.
Just gonna read this thing up so people know.
Just in
Yeah. Because it showed that later. What it is, what it's about. Okay, I'm gonna move on to item number 2. We have a request to speak from Linda Ricker from Monk Street regarding the Monk Street tennis courts. So I'll ask you to step forward, please.
Hi again, as you're aware, I did already send you most of my points earlier. I became aware of this issue with regard to the tennis courts, pickleball courts, as I was investigating, going through the meeting minutes with regard to fire ban. When I came upon the operations committee meeting of April 11th, I noticed that the committee decided to recommend to council renting out the pickleball courts to a group who approached council a couple of weeks prior to that. A couple of people in the meeting mentioned that they prepared a report, investigated, and I inquired as to, I've sent it in this letter, but inquired as to how it was investigated and a report was made. What discussion was had with neighbors of the courts, Point Edward residents who are pickleball players or tennis players and other users of the courts. As a resident of the village who lives directly across the courts and is an avid pickleball player, I'm surprised I was not asked for my input. As you're well aware, I was one of the main people pushing to have the pickleball courts included in the revamp in 2018. And I've had multiple discussions with Jim Burns regarding the nets and the opening and closing dates of the courts. I understand none of the neighbors were approached with regard to this, and the numerous people living on the street use these courts regularly. I inquired of the committee, the group that is, so there was a group of pickleball players who requested the court for use 2 hours a day, 3 times a week. And I inquired of the committee whether they were actual Point Edward residents. As I believe the Point Edward funded and village maintained facilities should be prioritized for Point Edward residents. Part of this meeting, it was, and I was very disappointed in the meeting. The operations committee recommendation was stated that they're going to bring to council that they would quote, allow a 1-year trial and then get feedback from the pickleball community, end quote. I was shocked and disappointed to hear Mr. Grimes' comment to the requesters that quote, if you show a family or whoever is there that you booked it, end quote, and needed it, Mr. Burns would come and sort it out. Is this village not about families and community coming together as one? I've only been here for 8 years, but I enjoy seeing families and kids playing in the courts and the playground. Allowing someone to sign up online and force a family or a few kids, or even other players who made it to the courts earlier off the courts is not what I thought this community or even pickleball was about. There was also a request from the group with regard to getting a porta potty. The committee mentioned that they didn't think that that would work, but that it could be revisited at the end of a 1-year trial. I will say emphatically that no one on that street wants to have a porta potty in that park. And then it was also mentioned that quote, fees may be introduced and we could generate $800 a year, end quote. And then another quote, we need to go there as we charge at the ball dimes and soccer fields. Number one, the ball diamonds and soccer fields are run by organizations that charge each of their players, and each field has 40+ players. The courts only have a maximum of 8 players playing at a time on the 2 courts. Number two, we want our residents to have more fitness in their lives and be healthier. Charging a fee to Point Edward residents would be detrimental to that. We want kids and teens to be active in the community and not create trouble, not allowing them to use of these facilities or allowing others to bump them off because they have signed up online is not achieving this. Number 4, the courts were revamped using a Trillium grant. These grants were given to communities to make their parks and equipment more accessible. The proposal by this committee is making them less accessible. With regard to the Trillium grant, the description that we presented to Trillium Foundation was delivering improved infrastructure with $135,300 grant over 3 months to build new and upgrade facilities for structured and unstructured affordable physical activities for families of all income levels, fostering more active lifestyles. This initiative is helping infrastructure for unstructured and structured physical activities and has an impact on the lives of 220 people in the community. I think it's actually a larger number than that, but that was what was.
I think that was a typo, Linda. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be 2,200.
That's why I
Thank
mentioned
you.
it, right? Charging for the facilities and limiting the facilities does not achieve that, and I don't think that Trillium Foundation would be in agreement with that decision. And would we need, that was only in 2018 when we got that, would we need to pay that back? It's a question. From my observances of the Operations Committee meeting, the committee members have recommended to give it a 1-year trial to allow this group and others to book online. And as Mr. Ryan said, quote, if there are protests in the street, we can revisit it, end quote. In my opinion, this council is being lazy and not doing their due diligence to approach the residents who elected them and get information and opinion from them prior to making decisions which are detrimental to the residents of Point Edward. We do not deserve more from our elected officials.
Thank you. Any questions?
Oh, I have a couple if I can.
Deputy Mayor Burns?
Have you played pickleball in Sarnia at all in their facilities?
Yes, I have.
And do they ask you for ID or check your residency?
No,
If they did, how do you think they would react if you were from out of town?
I haven't, when I have booked time, and yes, at the pickleball courts, they do bookings. That yes, I am requested of that.
And they welcome you onto their facilities?
Yeah.
So do you think we should take this approach of first come, first serve and apply it to all of our facilities? It's like the arena and the ball diamond and just rather than book it?
Bringing into the arena, I remember, I'm aware specifically that Point Edward hockey, that you have to be a Point Edward member.
No,
They come first.
Yep,
Right?
but yeah,
So if we're gonna be a booking, I'm disappointed that I see 2 9-year-olds out there playing on the court. And someone else who's decided they want to look online and see that they're not booked up could sign up and then go and take them off the court.
so I think the recommendation is just for this individual group to use it in the mornings. It's not like we're going to create a reservation system like that. It's,
So I understood that was, when you're in that meeting, you stated about having a sign-up system.
yes, so that
Yeah,
this group could use it, much like we do at the McCrae Park. So McCrae Park, there are times that it's reserved, and there's other times it's not. It's a first come, first serve all day. But on Tuesday nights, there's a men's slow pitch league that plays, and online it shows that it's booked. So if somebody is at home and wants to go play, they could look and see that the ball time is not available.
So as the 2 people that approached the council and you asked them why they wanted to do this, they informed you that they wanted to sign up because they've been told that if you don't sign up for a place, you're gonna miss out. that, for them signing up there means that I can't go across the street and play for those 2 hours.
Mhm.
I don't understand why one group is going to be allowed to book all of that when I see multiple different groups that are going there and don't understand that, oh, well, you know, maybe they should have got here a week before this group. And again, I don't understand why those people that are using those courts haven't been, because it's not only those people that are going to those courts. I can tell you that. There's not even though, just as they said in that discussion with you, well, yes, there's been other tennis players there, but then we have to only use one court. Right?
Right.
I don't see that they have, and as they mentioned, when you question that, they said they haven't had an issue yet. So why are we booking it just for them for those times?
Well, we haven't agreed to that. It's
Right,
before
but
council
that-
later.
That's my question of what, and you know, maybe it needs to be. You know, I'd be interested in booking it for those times, right? And they stated, you know, because if they don't book for other places in Sarnia, but, you know, noon till 2 is available in lots of places. Right? I just wonder why we're looking at possibly pushing out families or other people coming there. When, as stated in the council meeting, prior to that, when it was first brought up, we haven't had issues at the court.
Right.
There shouldn't be, you know, if we haven't had issues, why are we now allowing one group to sign up and then we will have issues?
And then just in regards to the neighbor input, the fact that we were called lazy because we didn't go around and ask people's permission or input. So we're doing upgrades to McCrae Park. We've approved the budget. We're replacing all the fencing and the backstop and spending money there this year. But we didn't go around and ask all the neighbors if that was okay with them. Like, should we be doing that for every park project we do?
Well, I think if they were coming in and, you know, taking away some of what your ability to use things, possibly. If you're going over there and throwing a ball with your kid, you know, quite often, and now they say, well, between, you know, 8 and 10 every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can't use this. Wouldn't that be something that you would want to talk to?
No, I'm referring to changes to the park, like putting in different, like replacing the fencing. The fact that we didn't go ask neighbors if that was okay.
I'm unsure of how that relates fully to what I'm asking.
Okay, all right, that's all the questions I have.
Councilor Burgess.
I was in that meeting. I chaired it because Deputy Mayor Grimes was sitting in for Mayor Hand. I book facilities all over Southern Ontario for my business. I go into different counties, municipalities. I've been all over the place. They're always open to it. I pay them for my rentals. When I listened to the lady speak, I was looking at a group that just wanted to be prepared and organized rather than just flying by the seat of their pants, hoping something's open. They only asked for a couple of hours. If I show up and I've got my kids with me and I play a game for an hour or two, there's really no different effect. This same thing happened when my 20-year-old was a little guy playing Point Edward soccer. There was a fitness trainer that was using the goalpost for resistance training. He had a group running on the field. I was helping coach and I just said, hey man, like we've got this booked. So it just helps organizing. He saw Point Edward soccer was coming in, a whole bunch of little kids. We had to put padding on the posts because we were playing across the field so no one ran into it that he was using. So it just helps everybody be a little more organized. I don't think their intention was to upset any of our current user groups. I believe the requested time was on a weekday in the mornings, but they were flexible. They just wanted to see if we were open to it. As far as charging for it, I'm for charging fees for our ball diamonds. All our neighboring municipalities do it. I'm for charging a fee for our soccer fields. And again, because we have to cut the grass, we have to rake the gravel and make sure everything's prepared. And each time somebody has that booked, it's better organized and people can look it up so that if the Burgess family is on the tennis court for 2 hours, they don't know that, but they can look and say, oh, this pickleball group is going to be there. Okay, I'll show up at 11 a.m. instead of showing up at 9 a.m. I just think it's better communication overall for us.
And how do we? Okay, I will make the proposal right now that I would like to put those courts from Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 8 till 10. How do we make that decision now?
We're going to work on that. I think that was what the proposal was, to look into putting something on paper and figuring out how we're going to advertise that so that we do have that communication.
And how do we deal with my neighbors who are 9 and 8 years old thereabouts and are on the courts playing? And they don't have access to, doing this online, and someone else could even be a neighbor or whatever. Oh, well, I'm gonna go and take that court away from them. That's just not what I understood this village was about.
Mm.
I did not understand that this is.
But again, I see it
let's
the
be
same
ones that we get in there first.
as the
and-
same as the other facilities. I've taken my little kids on the soccer field kicking a ball around. And then if there's a group that has it booked, we leave. I've been at McCray Park throwing batting practice to my kids. Cars start pulling in and they have it booked, we
Maybe-
leave.
And perhaps maybe we should do the same booking for the little kids playground. And.
I think
the
you're
hockey
going a little
facility.
too far to an extreme there.
Why is that a different? Because
You
I see
wanna-
the same kids from the playground over on there. So what's the difference? The difference is that this is a group of people who book to play at River City. And they want to find a place where they're not gonna be bugged, but they are fully aware that they can go to the pickleball hub and book a later in the afternoon game. Or they can just show up like has been happening at an earlier time. Or at a certain time, show up and then, well, today I guess we can't play. Right? It's just.
But
It's-
again, like
it's
I
just
said
desperate.
originally, it's for them to be better organized, so they don't show up as a group and it's not available. They just want to book that space.
So a group of 10 kids that decide to go out and play, well, they can't, it's frustrating to see how much that court is used. But all walks, and now we're going to be putting it, and this is, yes, I'm a pickleball player, right? Now we're gonna be putting it, and unfortunately, I didn't put as much stuff on social media with respect to this that I did with respect to fire ban, but I think that there would be quite a few. We had this meeting was full of pickleball and tennis players when we were doing that revamp. I question whether how many people would be in agreement of doing that, but I will, if that is the recommendation, I will be walking another petition,
Sure,
right? So.
that's your option.
And so, any other questions?
No, I just want to make a comment about as far as, and I don't know what the decision is gonna be. I'm not saying it's got nothing to do with that. I'm just saying it costs money to build the place and we did get a grant,
Mhm.
but it costs money to continue to operate it. We have to do work on it. We're a very small village. We have limited funds. And if we were to charge for some booking of these slots, that was generating resources, financial money. So that was one of the considerations of why they would consider it. Then we would have money towards repairs that need to be done.
I would, as mentioned with regard to the soccer fields and the ball diamonds, there's a lot more maintenance and such is required than.
There's a lot that has to be done at the tennis court.
I realize that there's some issues with
Yeah.
the actual
Right.
platform that
Right.
was done. And that I do realize that, but,
I'm just putting that out there as-
There are other, I think it's unfortunate that we're, there's such a large increase in property taxes and now we're gonna charge our kids to use the tennis
Well,
courts.
The reason that we're
Um,
looking at
and-
raising resources outside of property taxes is to help our tax base.
And, maybe trying to get more businesses in and such, brainstorming of some sort of that would be, more beneficial than charging our kids to use a tennis court that was, based on a grant, so. Any other questions?
Thank you for your time. Okay, we'll move on to new business.
So the open air burning bylaw, that's just there, that's the piece with all the, there's copies of the marked up bylaw, the clean copy of the bylaw, all the public comments that were received, and then the memo that, kind of a high level explanation of the changes that were made from the 2015 version to the proposal. And just circulated, so it's actually in the public record.
Okay, thank you.
There's not really, I'm not anticipating any action on that tonight,
Okay.
other than the receiving pilot.
Okay. Can I have a mover and seconder, please, to receive and file? Moved by Deputy Mayor Grimes,
All set.
seconded by Councilor Mondu. Thank you. All in favor? Okay, thank you. And the next item is light pollution eliminated bill.
And so I'd like to move this, that a request made for staff to give us a report on the current erection or illumination of those LED billboards. We've had two go up in the community recently. There's been some comments about the brightness and that. And then I did attach a report from the city of Toronto and what they did about their signs and how they control the lumens and the brightness. And I just think we should get ahead of it before they start popping up in other places that we're not aware of. So it was just a report back is all I'm looking for.
So we need,
We should have a motion in a second.
motion
I'll move that.
to request staff to make that report.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Sorry,
Is it time for questions?
question.
Do we have information regarding the fact that that one particular billboard is on Federal Bridge property? Have we communicated that, what our limitations are?
Yeah, we have no jurisdiction over federal.
Yeah, I just wanted that mentioned in the public forum that
Yeah.
as far as what the bridge does with theirs, there's not a lot that we can do. So we have
Yep.
had communication.
Yep. If I may, I have a report that was from the University of Windsor on municipalities and how they can manage federal property, and I'll share it with all of council, but there is case study that federal properties are required to follow municipal bylaws and the like, so I'll share that with everybody, including yourself, so.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that. up.
Sure. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Sarnia Urban Forestry Management Plan. And-
Yes, yep, so I attended a meeting, I'd requested if staff could attend, but Steve got called away, so I did attend it. It was interesting. The city of Sarnia is participating in a study on their tree canopy and the like, how to protect it, where they're situated. One of the things that was of interest is that the city has a 17% citywide average tree cover. But it appears lower because of the amount of rural area that is in the city of Sarnia now. So they have the actual urban coverage is 22%, which puts Sarnia well up into the as far as the tree canopy, and because 12% is at the rural. So I went because I'm assuming their tree canopy is similar to ours, or I think we might even be better because of our large growth trees that we have in the village. But I'm now on their mailing list and we'll share information as it comes forward, but they're just basically looking at how they're going to protect trees and how they can just maintain trees, what the best trees to grow, and just encourage people to continue to plant trees. So
Did they talk about the boulevard trees?
they talked about different
What they
types,
recommend?
species
Yeah.
that will sustain. And they had an example of one that was down in front of Cheeky Monkey that they planted, it grew very well, but then it got impacted by construction and died. So it was a lot of good examples like that. So it was a good discussion. And there's people there from everyone from the tree cutting companies to groups so the people that plant them and the people that tear them down. So it was a good discussion. So just receive and file
Okay. You're making that motion?
if I can. Yep.
Seconder, Council Drury, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you for going to that. Move on to the adoption of the minutes. Council minutes from March the 23rd. Do you want to do it separately or group it?
Just gonna do it together.
Do it together.
Move to receive and file our items 1 and 2.
I'll second.
Second it. Either,
Sorry.
any questions? Yes.
Yeah, in the ones for, I think it was the 28th. My disclosure was not in there for my conflict with the Bridgeview School.
Was that on the 28th?
Yeah, the 28th. The other conflicts were in there, but mine was.
Okay.
That was the 23rd.
For the budget meeting.
It was the
Budget
budget
meeting.
meeting.
Okay.
Oh, 23rd, sorry, yeah, it was the budget meeting.
Okay.
I'll check. I thought it showed up down in the agenda item, but we'll check and make sure it's.
I
if
read
it's
through it
missing,
all, I
we'll-
couldn't find it in there for both together.
We'll fix it.
Okay, thanks.
So can we vote, assuming that it gets revised?
Yep, as amended.
I'm just gonna. vote.
Yeah, okay, all in favor? As
As
amended,
amended.
right? Thank you. Any business arising from the minutes? You've mentioned something, we'll get that fixed. There are ongoing tasks from the previous minutes. Meetings,
No.
no. Okay, move into financial
Sorry,
reports.
I-
Sorry,
sorry.
sorry.
The recreation committee,
Mhm.
what, will their next council, will we review because there was.
There's 3 people.
Okay,
One of them, I'm not sure. She
okay,
indicated an interest or not. I have to follow up with her,
Mhm.
but we'll just get going with those 3 people.
okay, okay.
Okay, move on to financial reports, so general operations financial statements for March 2023.
I'll move that total revenues and general operations, excuse me, for the month of March 2023 in the amount of $580,007.25 be approved. And that the total expenditures and general operations for the month of March 2023 in the amount of $1,236,927.44 be approved.
Seconded by Councillor Drury. Any questions? All in favor?
Yes.
Move on to environmental.
I'll move that the total revenues and environmental services for the month of March 2023 in the amount of $1,631.50 be approved. And that the total expenditures, environmental services for the month of March 2023 in the amount of $121,810.15 be approved. And that the updated financial statements for the month of February 2023 showing revenues of $89,183.80 and expenses of $160,667.24 be received and filed.
I'll second that.
Any questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay, move on to committee reports. The first one is the operations committee.
Do that.
You might as well, yeah, you chaired it. Good.
I'll move that the operation committee meeting minutes of April 11th, 2023 be adopted as printed.
I'll second that.
Any questions? So if we accept this, that accepts that recommendation.
Right.
So I'm not going to support it. So I'm just going to state that.
And I,
So
if we go through, so I understand we go through, we allow this. What if we amended this to allow a time for Point Edward residents, like we do with every other, like if you sign up your kid for hockey, Point Edward residents get a time frame in which they can sign up their kids first. What if we had like a 15-day, I don't care how long it is, but if we had some time for Point Edward residents to do the bookings first, and then we opened it outside. I'm in favor of having a booking system, getting some revenue, having organization in those courts, but I do think there should be first come, first served to our residents.
it's only one booking.
Okay.
Right?
Mhm.
So it's not a whole day of
Mhm.
booking, is what I understand. I wasn't at the meeting.
But if we allow,
Yeah.
like, we either need to allow booking for everybody or nobody, we can't just say it's only one booking. If we're gonna open up to bookings, it's for everybody or
So
for
that's
no.
why I'm not going to support a booking system, so that's just my own opinion. But, so all in favor?
Let's, So we're all clear on the motion. And let me just read the motion that's in the minutes, just so everyone's clear. That a one-year trial booking system be implemented with feedback from pickleball users at the end of the season, and that an informational sign be erected at the Monk Street Tennis and Pickleball Court and at McCray Park Baseball Diamond allows users to check the availability with a scan of a QR code and a number to call to book if available to use, and that fees may be implemented after a one-year trial. I just want to reaffirm that there will be no online booking. So nobody can just sit home and book, right? All of our
Right.
bookings are done through staff.
That's right.
And so same as the arena right now, you have to call Derek to book it.
Mhm.
For McCray and the tennis court, you would call the office. And the office would talk you through the booking or whatever, even if you need a booking or not. So it's not going to be a mass exodus. All we're trying to do is, as Councillor Burgess said, is allow these people to be organized and have a little bit of structure in their morning thing. I think by allowing them to come in and be structured, it's a tourism win as well, because I would hope that they would all go to Albert's and eat afterwards, or go to Gemini for their coffee, or over to the Point Brewery. And I think it's a great way to bring more people into the village and increase tourism.
Sorry, did you combine this with McCray? Because I am in favor of McCray.
It was combined, yes.
Okay, then,
So we can split it, we can not approve it.
and the reason I'm in favor of McCray is because we're the only baseball diamond. The Sarnia teams are paying. They're coming to Point Everett not paying. And we have our staff that have to go out there and line the diamonds and, you know, do the raking and all of that, and we should be charging. Because we can use the money towards those changes that we're making there. But I'm in favor of McCray and I'm not in favor of Monk Street.
So are we able to split it, the recommendation at this level, or does it go back to committee?
I know it can be done at this level. So what we should do if we want to pull recommendation number 6 out, I would say approve the minutes. Except for recommendation number 6. And then deal with content of recommendation 6 separately. So if you want to split that motion into 2 and have a full-on booking system, like, just approve the minutes, except for number 6 at this point, and we can move forward from there.
So Paul would have to amend the motion.
Sorry, Paul.
If you want to, I mean,
Yeah, you want to be there.
I just want to separate them.
And then as a group, do we discuss the option of booking the court for that group?
Yes.
yeah, I mean, so as the mayor says, she would be supportive of a booking system for McCray Park and not a system for pickleball courts and tennis courts at all. No booking system is what
That's what I'm,
Mayor Hand
that's
is
just my,
is
that's my
saying.
own position.
So I think we need to, we need clarification on how you want to move forward. So if we want a full-on booking system for any time at McCray Park, then that's what we implement. If we want to just have this one booking at the tennis courts, then we have that one booking and nobody else is allowed to book time. Do you want to have a full-on booking system for all time at the tennis courts? I mean, that needs to be made clear in the motions. So, yeah, that's what I need. That's, we need fairly clear direction on how you want to proceed, and if they're going to be treated the same, then it can be done in one motion. If they're going to be treated differently, then I guess it can still be one motion. You're gonna have a motion that full-on booking system be used for McCray Park, and this one booking be awarded for the Monk Street Park, and nothing else is available at this time. I mean,
Okay, then we just do a motion from McCray Park first.
if
First of all,
you,
if you approve these minutes.
yeah, I would say.
For the minutes
if-
about 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay,
If,
So let's approve the minutes without 6 then, and then we'll pick that other
Okay.
bone.
And I'll second what he said. I'll be.
okay, all in favor? Okay,
and then we should have, discussion around how you want to deal with McCray Park, how you want to deal with the tennis courts. My understanding, and I guess it got missed in the motion, was that the soccer pitches the soccer pitch down Waterfront Park, I thought was gonna be dealt with the same as McCray Park.
That's what I thought too.
So that somehow got missed in the motion there, but that's the other sport court that we were dealing with, was the soccer pitch.
So then we can add the soccer.
That's it, like we're starting over now,
Yeah,
so.
currently, basically, that's right. We're starting over with
Yeah.
a fresh canvas, and what we have a booking system for the soccer pitch and for McCray Park. But I mean, again, anybody can go use them at any time, but you, Councilor Burgess, have the court booked. It's yours for that period of time.
See, I like the idea of opening up the soccer field too, because if Point Edward soccer, it's been a few years since my kids played, but it was always, Monday weekdays. And I thought, wow, some other group could utilize that as a soccer, or it's like Deputy Mayor said, if we had a team playing a game in there on a Saturday, that would be a lot of lunches probably sold in the village, and, maybe some other spinoffs. That's why I like the idea of booking it, just to say Point Edward soccer, first dibs, you've got your nights booked, and then maybe open it up for some other groups.
Just looking to see what kind of bookings. So the soccer pitch is booked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, basically 5:30 or 6:30. A couple times it's booked at 3 o'clock.
Is 3 o'clock for Pima or somebody else?
It's for someone else.
Okay.
And I don't know. So it's booked starting from 3 o'clock for this individual on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 o'clock. It doesn't give an end time. But then it has somebody else booked in at 5:30 each night,
That's the
and
lead.
it doesn't say how long they're there for either. Doesn't say how long they are there, it just says it starts at 5:30.
Our
So
booking system, does it not force you to give an end time when you book?
I can't tell you, I don't deal with it at all. I know, I mean, in the arena, it's more clear, right? It books you for an
The
hour.
league has two games. You
We should
play
play.
early or late.
We should,
We should clean that up.
Request that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should request an
Yeah.
end start, and it has to have an
Each,
end time.
each game is an hour. I just know that my granddaughter plays.
So, and then so that's the soccer. And McCray Park is booked on Sundays at 2, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 6, and again, no end time.
And the weekends are open.
Except Sundays.
Fridays and Saturdays are open, Sundays are not. Sundays open at 2. So I don't know what time, how late it goes. But yeah, we should, I mean, I'm sure we can. I would think we should be able to put in something to cover that off.
So help me here. 3 of 4 already have bookings, and we don't have anything. Yet we're trying to pass a motion to allow bookings of those, right? So, because that's been historically how it's been handled.
Up until this year, there was no bookings, like nothing done on a calendar.
Right. It was just
It
all,
was an informal, like, you call up the operations manager, yeah, can I have the park from Tuesday from 6:30 to 8:30? Yep, nobody's using it, you can have it. There is no record of it online or anything like that, and it always worked, we never.
so staff
So that's
recommended
where-
this as an attempt to better communicate who's going to be in the park and try and facilitate any issues.
Yeah,
regarding-
so that, I mean, if
People
you
know.
wanted to rent the park or use the park at some point, you could go on here and see, well, it's available on Monday night, so.
I'll call the village and ask
Yeah.
them. Or I take my chances and just
Or you
go.
take your chances, yeah. So, but again, that's new, and it was based on direction earlier, either late last year or this year to do that.
I think Derek took it on.
I think it was actually Steve.
Was it? Okay,
Yeah,
from the committee.
yeah.
Okay.
So, but I mean. Baseball, this facility, like. I guess it isn't that much different. You know, our rink is booked out in like half-hour increments. And it breaks it down in that way. You definitely, you'd need something like that if you wanted to do it for the tennis courts. You would need to do it that way, like this isn't enough information to be booking on for the tennis courts. And again, the public doesn't have access to input their booking. They can see what's available, what's booked, and then they have to call the office to get, you know, to talk to somebody to book the time. They can't just do it on their own.
I have 2 questions.
The premise when we talked about this was that if you booked one of the fields as part of your rental agreement, you need to have insurance. So if we go to, and we talk about, it was talked about at the operations committee meeting about pickleball, if they book, they have to show proof of insurance.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
So
that
that's
would
one
be,
of the caveats.
that's a
on this.
requirement for,
booking.
if people are booking our facilities, they gotta have proof of insurance. Because I mean, anybody can just show up at the park and use the park, and we can't have any kind of control over that. Once they're booking it, we are aware they're there. There are certain conditions that are implied, like we have to keep the park. I mean, we have to keep it in reasonable condition anyway for the general public, but there's just a bit more of an expectation when it's actually booked. And so we require insurance coverage for the
Potential liability.
Yeah.
Linda had questions.
Would that be with respect to 2 people going to play pickleball or tennis? Because we would, if we go this direction, we're gonna have to book so that, Thursday at 3, I wanna have a tennis game with my friend.
Mhm.
I'd have to book online so somebody else didn't book.
I would say it's more of an organizational thing. If it's an organized group.
And I would suggest that the group that is coming there, I'm not sure exactly who they are, I think I know, but they're just a group of people that have gotten together. In Sarnia, it's, yes, the pickleball hub, you book and you pay. If you go to any of the other courts that are like ours, there is no booking system that I'm aware of. That you don't, unless it's the Strangway has lessons at certain times, but if you get away from that, you're not. I don't believe you are requested to book. I wasn't able to get that information yet, but.
Yeah, generally it's, I mean, if I guess it's probably not gonna happen where a father and son or father and daughter are gonna book time to go throw the ball around at the ball court. So they wouldn't be required to have insurance, but if it's an organized group of people, a sports team, a club, anything like that, and they're booking the time. Now, again, if they just show up and don't tell us they're coming, I mean, we can't police that, control that. But if they're booking time, one of the requirements, and I mean, if they went ahead with this pickleball group, we will require a certificate of insurance from them showing the village as a co-insured. And that's just, as an organized group, it's pretty standard practice around.
And sorry, just in my opinion, there's, the soccer fields. Generally, you are talking about the Point Edwards soccer group, the hockey, the rink, you're talking that, and the ball fields, you are talking about, 30, 40 people. Whereas you're now talking about a court that 2 people could book and not allow a larger number of people on the courts. So,
Did you have a question, sir?
Yeah. Years ago, I used to rent the Point Edward Arena. And for 2 hours in the evening, a bunch of guys got together. Well, you could say we're kind of a group. We never were asked to prove we had insurance. So that was with the arena. Now, if I understand you correctly, when we were booking, someone would have to prove this. A bunch of people have to have insurance. It's bad enough trying to collect enough money to rent the ice. Now you're gonna ask people to pay insurance. So
We
now
absolutely are.
what you've done is you've segregated the group of people that are just out to have a good time from the professionals. So the professionals can have it. Sorry, the people can't.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I'm
would-
hearing here. I'm not saying right or wrong, and that's just what I'm hearing.
I
And
don't
that's
think-
how it was before.
Yeah, I don't think there's any professionals that use the Point Edward Arena for rental. They're groups like, so for instance, the 911 league.
Yeah.
And there, I don't know how many teams there are.
Yeah.
There's probably a half a dozen or more teams. but they're an organization and they pay a little bit extra to have insurance to be there.
And when I rented it, this is going back quite a few years, and I rented it for a lot of years in a row, Saturday evening,
Mhm.
and it's just a bunch of guys got together.
Yeah.
It's called pickup hockey.
Sure.
We weren't a league, we weren't nothing. So are you saying, if I said to you, I'd like to rent the ice, bunch of us old timers want to get together? Oh, wow, you're old timers group. No, we're just a bunch of guys want to get together. Are you going to say proof of insurance? Well,
That's my understanding is what's going on, yeah.
That's already in place.
Can I chime in on this?
Yes. go ahead.
I rent ice everywhere.
Yeah.
I have to show my certificate of insurance. I just rented some ice in Petrolia coming up. They had a program where I could piggyback on their insurance for an extra fee. So some places do offer that, but I have my own insurance I carry for my hockey business because I have kids on the ice I'm training. Everybody is asking for the additional insurance, and that's why the Canadian Adult Recreational Hockey Association was born, basically, is so they had an organization to provide insurance for recreational hockey leagues. Because if anybody sues, the top of the list will be the Village of Point Edward. And if we don't have some form of insurance on that, it comes out of our pocket. And that's the way it's been explained to me.
Okay, you made one word there, business. I can understand that, and I don't have a problem with that, because you're making money off of it.
Yep.
What I'm talking about is a group of guys, they camp, let's go out and have a.
But that's what I said about
play
the Canadian Adult Recreational Hockey Association. They have an umbrella that covers that. Just for the pickup hockey.
So with the arena, is this insurance thing something that's in place now or
It's
something? that
already,
you're-
it already exists. This is
So
new.
every group, I'm aware of that, but every group that uses the ice at Point Edward Arena has shown insurance.
That's my understanding. I don't know for sure that's the way it is. Okay, we can do that.
Probably you know of a group, which I'm not gonna divulge, that is a pickup. And I'm sure, I've never heard ever anyone mention any ask for insurance. So it's something you might want to look into
Mhm.
just to make
Fair
sure.
enough.
I'm just questioning, is this something you're trying to put in place?
No.
No,
Or
it's,
something that's in place?
Already in place.
And my
It's in
other
place.
question is, about the, tennis pickleball courts. It sounds like you're trying to put a booking system in place specifically for the one group that has contacted you about the availability. That's how it's being perceived, that this is why it's come up and this is why it's happening. But I don't think you can allow it for one specific group only. You are going to have to open it up to whoever is interested in that availability. And I know you're trying to say that they'll be able to book it or whatever, but it sounds like all of this is going to be put in place for this specific group that has approached you about the availability. And that would not be correct. That would not be right to do that for one specific group. If you're gonna put it in place, it has to be put out there for whoever is interested in that availability.
Thank you. Bill, Peter.
I'm good.
Can I come back just on that? Any group or person could come in to council and request in the same way those ladies did
Yes.
to reserve the courts,
Yes, but
right?
it sounds like this is being put in place to get them what they want, to get them their booking, to get them their reservation.
Right.
And other people aren't being considered outside of their request.
Then nobody else has come forward, right, with a
I think
request.
there has been people that have come forward mentioning interest in. Linda, have you not mentioned interest in wanting to book a period of time?
I have not come forward myself personally, but
Did you not mention it when you were standing over there?
well,
that you would be
when just now,
interested in
yes,
booking?
before this, I mean,
Yes.
I would be very much interested in that time period.
She did mention it when she was up here earlier.
Right,
She said if that were to happen,
Yeah.
she would be interested in booking.
Exactly.
Yeah,
the very
So
same
if
time.
that's going to happen, it
Yeah.
needs to be open to
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
people having the option to do that.
But you're looking at booking with payment.
Yes.
No,
No?
No,
Not for the pickleball?
no.
Bill, you had your hand up?
they'd offered.
Not this year.
A comment came up about charging fees, and we said for this year, we would not entertain fees for it. It was a trivial amount, and we didn't feel it was worth the hassle or the headache of billing and booking. It's not like an arena booking where and we don't need, like, the money doesn't decide whether it stays open or closed. The arena has that as big expenses.
Someone mentioned $800 or something going towards maintenance.
One person did a calculation on how many hours they wanted. I think Sarnia charges $12 an hour for their courts. And they just did the math and said their single booking would have generated upwards of $800 for the season. Was the only comment about the revenue.
Bill had his hand up there.
Yeah, I just want to be clear on the bookings in the arenas and everything else. And is it for a rider like the beer leagues that you're talking about? Is there not a rider in Point Everett that would cover people like that? Not the professionals like Paul?
So the village has insurance.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we do.
Yeah.
But we also require user groups to have their own. And to
Well, what
name
about
us
yours? Sorry.
and to name the village as a co-insured, because if something happens. And the user group doesn't have any insurance, then whose rates are gonna go up? The villages.
Oh, of
So
course.
everybody's gonna pay more. So we're doing it to protect the residents of the village. That's why we're doing it.
But like this gentleman over here, his little beer league or whatever you want to call it, boys club.
Mhm.
Do they have to show a rider as well?
My understanding is they do. I can't, as Shamin suggested, I can't sit here and tell you that every single user does, but
Yeah.
they're supposed to.
And again, that's not fair to the professional and the beer leagues, you know, it's a difference again.
But, well, you know,
It's a
I
system
mean,
that,
you can dissect anything,
Yeah.
I guess.
And sorry, and then you gotta get from, professional or beer league to, a few years, I went and rented the ice for my son's birthday. Do I need insurance? It's like six kids, right? So there, it should be set out whatever way it is, so that you're not one way or the other. So I don't know what it is.
the system in place has been existing for a few years. And it's what has been recommended legally to us.
Yeah,
So this isn't something new.
No, but it might be information. When I rented, it was a few years back,
Yeah.
but I know that there's families that have done that
And,
Christmas.
and
time this and that,
I
right?
can't tell
So-
you if,
Yeah.
if they book the ice for the birthday party, if they pay insurance. I would
I
have
just-
to ask.
I
Derek.
just think. If you rented the ice for your son's birthday. And there was an accident. A parent of a child may come and sue you because you booked the ice and had the party. And so your personal homeowner's insurance, which has liability in it, that's the insurance that you have to prove that you have. So if you're just a tenant somewhere. So that's the insurance we're talking. You don't have to go get a brand new policy
Yeah,
for that birthday party, but. Just proof that you have liability insurance and that you are covered for that event that you're having in our facility. So that's where they're looking at. And do we ask for it consistently? Maybe not, but that's the
I
expectation.
can't speak for that because we
neither.
would have to have Derek here.
Yeah.
Shannon?
Again, just in regards to the booking of the tennis court, pickleball courts. I, as a resident located beside the courts, would be opposed to the leagues getting permission to use those courts because when we have it open to the general public, it's usually smaller groups, it's usually maintainable, it's usually when we get these pickleballers, and Jim knows because I've contacted him, there's 12 to 16 vehicles that come to the street. And they do their thing and whatever, I'm glad to see people out in that. And then as soon as pickleball is over, they're gone. So I know Greg, you mentioned that hopefully they're gonna stay in Point Everett and they're gonna go have lunch. They're not. Probably not.
Probably not. Maybe
This
not.
has been going on. I would rather see the courts used leisurely rather than an organized. If we wanted to do organized pickleball courts for leagues, and we should have put it in a non-residential area. This pickle court was not located in the best area. I know we can't change it now, but for the people that live in this area, we had a nice quiet, dead end street. And now we have 12 to 16 cars coming at least 3 times a week. And like I said, they're there, they're everywhere. And then they're there for 2.5 hours or whatever, and then they're gone. Now the general public can come and use the park leisurely after they're gone. Just my opinion.
Bill,
I remember as a young man, I used to play in that park a lot. And it was never fenced off or those kind of things. It was never controlled. It's just an enjoyable spot to go to. Whether you organize something or it's all about being courteous to others as well. And try to get along and work things out as you go type thing. And as well, people are concerned about making revenues. Why couldn't you put, and it might be a bad idea, but no idea is a bad one. Put a coin machine there and charge them the $12 or whatever they want to do. And that might be self-managed, possibly. Just saying. And it will take care of your maintenance of it as well.
thanks, Bill. Any other questions? Back to your direction.
So I need direction on how you want to proceed
So we've,
with booking it.
so the recommendation 6 is still on the table, but it hasn't been
It
moved. It has to
hasn't-
be moved.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's
that's right.
separated.
So you need to lift it.
Well,
Sounds like it's dying.
yeah, I mean, if there's not
A mover or
a
seconder.
mover to approve it and a second to approve it, then we just stick with the system as it is. McCray Park and the soccer pitches has already been done. Like we're using that.
Okay.
There was direction provided earlier in the year. I
Yeah.
think what's in this motion that applies to McCray Park and the soccer pitches is the piece about charging for it in the future. No, that's something we've been instructed, or this motion instructs us to look into costing for those facilities in the
Mhm.
coming years.
Then we can still do that.
You can still do that.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't accept this motion. Yeah, the fees be. There should be direction to. There might be previous direction. I'd have to check back and we did that.
Why don't we
about,
just put it in there? New direction.
That would be perfectly fine. It never hurts to have it there
Yeah,
twice.
can we have a mover and a seconder to direct staff to investigate the cost of?
Well, first let's deal with this. Let's let this one die before we start making new
Yeah.
motions.
If there's no motion to approve recommendation number 6, then it's.
That's where we're at in the agenda. It's number 6. So seeing as it's failing, will you be then contacting the ladies
Yep.
that wanted to come and play here and tell them that they're not welcome and
Well, it's not, they're not
It's
welcome.
not.
yeah,
You don't say it like that.
no, no,
Use it regardless.
Yeah.
They're there
Yeah.
sometimes.
We're not gonna book it out for them.
right. We're not reserving it. I mean, yeah.
And then there should be a separate, so yes, I will be contacting
Okay.
that lady that contacted me. But there should be, and then an additional motion to direct me to do a study about charging for the various outdoor
Does
facilities.
that need to be done tonight?
It doesn't have to.
No, let's just
We do it at
bring it to
committee.
committee. I say, let this,
For that committee.
yeah, let this be
Yeah.
resolved and then we'll put it on the committee agenda for 2 weeks.
May 13th or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
11 or
Nine.
something.
And then maybe,
Or-
yeah, maybe in the interim, we can get a idea of the potential revenue, like at least some background on McCray Park.
We're just gonna get some comparables.
Yeah.
Lauren?
So right
Sorry,
now we're
Councilor Derry.
looking at the website revamp. In order first, as staff are going through and looking at ways to charge revenue, can we look at how we could bring the booking system online? So I think it's a whole nother step. If we were able to do the bookings online, it would be like up to date and active. Whereas right now, if somebody's off, so your operations person's off and they call in to book the court, they don't know somebody else has booked it. I'm talking about McCray Park and the soccer fields, not the tennis. I think you get missed bookings. They're double
We can look at,
bookings.
I think we should talk.
I think it'd be more
with people
efficient
that-
if it was an online booking system.
And I understand your point. I'm only concerned about if it needs to reside with Derek so that he gets the collection of the insurance free. Like, how would you prove insurance?
You could have to upload it, like,
Yeah.
part of the website revamp, to say
Okay.
all of that, start time, end time,
Yeah.
like, right now you don't have end times on there, if there was an online booking. It would all be in there, and then you couldn't even book it without uploading your insurance to the,
Okay.
if it was for the arena.
Okay,
You'd have to do all of that, and one Derek would have it all in his inbox in one place, it would be organized, opposed to. Like if Derek's not there, they can't book.
I think we should. We can talk about that. I don't think we should just make that decision right now.
Mm.
I think we should talk to the guys that run the
and that
systems.
committee, Derek will be there.
Again,
Council
I
Bridges?
know the city of Sarnia has changed their booking to online. There's been several hiccups. I actually got a couple phone calls from people I know that do similar things to what I do, and it's been challenging. So it might not be as smooth, and I would really be interested to hear what our staff has to say about it. I just have one thing too, I wanted to add about Monk Street. There was another resident who lives on Monk Street who came to my house that couldn't make the meeting tonight to say that she was very opposed to bookings of the tennis courts and the pickleball. So if she ends up watching, just want to let her know that her comments were heard and that it was dealt with.
And totally lost.
Fire committee.
Fire committee. Ooh,
That's me.
operations never took that long.
Okay, I'd like to move that the minutes of the fire committee meeting held April 11th, 2023 be approved as circulated.
Seconder,
I'll second.
Councilor Mandu. Any questions? All in favor? Okay. Environmental Services,
Move that the minutes of the Environmental Services Committee meeting held April 11th, 2023 be approved as circulated.
seconder,
Second.
Deputy Mayor Grimes. Any questions? All in favor? Finance,
I move that the finance committee meeting held April 11th, 2023 be approved and circulated. And that's
Second.
seconded by Councilor Drury. Any questions? All in favor? Okay. Move on to number 15, communications received and file 1 through 4,
I'll move the 1 through 4 be received and filed.
I'll second.
seconded by Councilor Mondu. All in favor? Okay. Community events and public announcements. Deputy Mayor Grimes.
Just want to mention St. Clair Child and Youth for Mental Health Week are having their barbecue May 3rd, just up the street here, and everyone is welcome.
I sent a note to all of
Yeah.
you today.
Yeah,
Okay.
so. And I was asked to bring it up as well. So
Okay.
yeah, so everyone's
Yeah.
welcome to go down and see the services St. Clair Child and Youth provide right here in the village.
3 to 7, right?
4:30 to 7, I think.
4:30 to 7.
Yep. So that's all,
Kind of them to improve.
May 3rd.
Oh, should remind everyone, tomorrow,
Mhm.
we have a public meeting.
Strategic planning,
Planning. It's actually,
strategic plan for the village of Point Edward
At
from
the arena.
6:30 to 9:30
yeah,
at the arena, at the community hall.
pardon?
It's kind of an important.
Yeah, well, it's tomorrow and I already, like, tell me what that is. No.
Sorry, when did that? I mean, I just found out of it, I think, this week. When did that, when was that decided?
The notice that went out probably about 3 weeks ago, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks ago. I
Came
don't
out
know
of
an
budget?
exact date.
Was discussed during our budget meeting.
Yeah, no, I didn't, wasn't aware of it. I don't know if it came in my email about it.
Yeah.
I don't have, I saw the email a couple days ago, but don't believe I'm.
Yeah, I would say originally it went out 2 to 3 weeks ago, plus on Facebook. Again, this is another example, your event may help. I wouldn't deny that at all.
And
So we originally advertised 2 to 3 weeks ago and then advertised again 2 or 3 days ago.
I understand it's on the village calendar. It takes quite a bit to get into that, to make a point of getting into that.
Did I tell you we're doing a revamp?
Yeah, so we're just,
The website.
I mean, I'm just offering other
yeah,
ideas,
yeah,
right? If you
yeah.
do it as a event on
Yeah.
Facebook, there may be more people that it pops into their calendar and lets them know, right? That's just a suggestion.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
What's the strategic planning really all about?
Visioning.
Like in general? Is it what you wanna do to our streets, sidewalks? People's homes? I don't know.
Generally not, a strategic plan, I would
Yeah.
say generally does not really deal with infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's like higher level stuff, like, we'd like to see an increase in recreational facilities, or we'd like to see more attraction of new businesses, or we'd like to attract more foreign residents, or we'd like to have smaller houses, like, it's not infrastructure related generally. A strategic plan is kind of an overarching, and
High
you
level.
set goals that, I think
It's like setting like a 5 or 10-year plan for the village. Where do we want to be in 10 years? If we don't have a goal, we'll never get there. So by creating a strategic plan, if we know that in 10 years, we want to have X, Y, Z, staff will work towards that, and we can track that progress to make sure we make it to that goal. And so right now, we don't have any type of strategic planning. And so it allows CAO Burns that every decision he makes, does it support our strategic plan? Is it going to get us to the finish line of where we want to be? So if one of them is to have more businesses in the downtown core or whatever, then it's the job of council and staff to come up with ways to have us achieve that goal.
Right.
So it's just, it puts it in writing, and
Right.
rather than just being people's heads, we actually will pull it out every year, review it, measure how we're doing against the strategic plan. Are we making progress or are we not? And so,
Okay, I don't know if anyone's aware, of it, but I'm aware of it. There's a concept that's growing throughout Canada, a 15-minute city.
I just read about that. Yeah.
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 I don't know where you'd want to go with that. But also there's an incentive program for these communities to promote this 15-minute city. And to me, it's my personal view, it's not a good thing. But that's just me. So I hope this isn't driven by this concept. We'll give you some money to promote this agenda for us. It's coming from a different level of government. And that's a slippery slope. And I understand bringing new businesses, but when you start dictating the people, this is what you're gonna do, be in our community, then you've crossed the line to me.
Yeah, that's not our plans.
Okay.
And we've been working on this for 3 years now
Yeah.
of developing. So yeah, no, it's not like, it's not to that.
I understand
yeah,
what you're saying. You have to have a vision, just like Sarnia.
Yeah.
Those empty fields out there, what's our vision for? it?
Yes,
Well, we don't have any.
Yeah.
We got the home salary.
we're low on empty fields.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
like we can only grow so much more in our bubble.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to come, because the facilitator will be asking for opinions and collecting information to help define what the end product is.
Yeah,
So he's done it for many local municipalities in Lambton County and beyond, so
Yeah.
he'll ask your opinion and collect information.
now, just one more thing. I don't know how much longer this will go. But I just want to make a comment from me being first time here, the observation, I'm sorry. Just, I heard a lot, well, in this town, in this town, in this town. And this is not that long ago, Sarnia Arena, like the center out there, whatever it's called now.
CASA, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, they wanted to charge parking. And the rationale behind it, well, Kitchener charges, London charges, and I thought, whoa, we're not those centers. The whole idea for that to be there was for the free parking.
Mhm.
And they had a parking lot designated if you wanted to pay, but the rest was free. And what I heard tonight was, well, because of London, this is their bylaws. Well, this is Point Edward, we're a village. And what I also heard was, in a sense, that the one person saying, well, you're not responsible. And to me, I believe we're all responsible in this community. And that's just what I was hearing, you know? So I just thought
I appreciate your comments
Yeah.
and what I always feel like we need to remember, we're 2,000 people or
Yeah.
2,200 people.
Yeah.
Whatever it is,
Mhm.
as opposed to being compared to Sarnia 80
Yeah.
or London at whatever they're at.
Yeah, they keep growing.
It's like,
Sardia's still at
We have
70.
this many resources and we've tried to make the best of our resources
yeah.
and make things work for.
Yeah, because
Decide.
what I hear the people that I call myself the import. I was here
Yeah.
since 2000. But,
And it took you that long to get here
yeah, I know.
tonight?
I just looked at,
I tried to get him.
You tried.
I just lived down the street too.
Okay, yeah,
I go to all of his fires.
yeah.
But so the other thing I did hear, and I hate to say this, there are very vindictive neighbors. And I'm subject to that. I've had many complaints, different things. It's just because of one person's attitude towards another person, and I try to not, but it doesn't matter what I do.
So we
if
don't
there's a
want to
law
talk about
that's
people.
thrown at me,
We just, one of the things we're trying to stay away from
Yeah, I know.
talking about.
I can
people.
move the confirmation bylaw. if you need.
Just-
Sorry, one
One-
question
yeah.
about this strategic planning.
Yes.
Questions about it. Time of that tomorrow
6:30,
till when?
9:30.
And will there be an opportunity to have input if you're not there?
We haven't advertised that yet because we wanted people to come. And we felt that we,
I have another commitment at
Yeah.
7 o'clock tomorrow, so that's, you know,
there's an online survey that we'll be releasing like 2 or 3 days after the meeting.
Which is part of what the facilitator put together,
Yeah.
is this whole communication plan.
And it'll be going out by constant con.
And if you're not on constant contact, get signed up.
No, I get the email newsletter.
Good.
I do remember I used to get paper newsletter every month.
Mhm.
That was nice. I'm a person that likes to grab it. And
Yeah.
does it say something there? And I'm flipping back and forth to screens. It's nice. This is why I like, yeah.
We lost it with the water bills.
Yeah.
You want him to find out something, oh, his wife.
So this meeting tomorrow night, what's the hours from?
6:30 to 9:30.
And if you can only be there for an hour, that's, you know,
Yeah.
we're not, it's not like you're locked in once you get there. So if you can only be there for
Wednesday.
an hour, that's perfectly
At
fine.
the community hall.
Yeah.
Okay, take it away, Greg.
I'll move
Deputy
the,
Mayor Grimes.
Greg's fine. I'll move the bylaw 16 of 2023 being a bylaw to confirm the resolutions of Panera Council, which are adopted up to and including April 25th, 2023. Be read as a first, second, and third time, and finally passed on this date, April 25th, 2023.
Senator. Councilor Drury. All in favor? Adjournment. Councilor Burgess.
Second.
Councilor Mondu. All in favor? I'm not sure. No.